The final episode of Prime Video's The Wheel of Time second season features a reunion of the main characters, packs a lot of emotional punches, and establishes the third season. Egwene becomes the focal point of everyone's actions in a showdown in Falme, when the tension that had been building throughout the season comes to a head. When all the smoke clears at the conclusion, the pieces on the board have undergone a significant change. Even when some characters pass away, the program maintains its drive by posing new threats. Here are some ramifications of The Wheel of Time's second season finale. Spoilers alert. The Wheel of Time Season 2 Episode 8 Recap. At the conclusion of the previous episode, all of Egwene's friends were en route to her rescue. It is a pleasant surprise to have some help when the time comes to fight because nobody is aware of the existence of the others. In an effort to liberate Falme from the Tzeentch, the White Cloaks also arrive at the same time. They don't mind killing Damain either, they just want to destroy the oppressive tyrant. In order to have things go according to plan, Lanfear isolates Rand, Moiraine, and Lan as they travel the ways. Incapable of assisting Rand, who is within the city looking for Egwene, who has been designated the leader in the struggle against the White Cloaks, Moiraine and Lan are outside the city. Elaine and Nynaeve attempt to get to the tower as well, but they are unable to do it in time. Ishamael resolves to murder Rand in the interim and wait for the next iteration of the Dragon Reborn after realizing Lanfear is going to turn on him. He tempts Mat with the same knife that drove him to the dark side in the previous season, knowing about Min's vision. However, Mat has grown from his past errors and is prepared to make atonement by supporting his friends in this endeavor. Upon his arrival in the city, Perrin is astounded to learn of Egwene and the others. The Wheel of Time Season 2 finale ending. Is Ishamael dead? The Dragon Reborn was due to make his declaration and, more crucially, pick a side in Falme, therefore the Forsaken planned to take Rand there. Ishamael was aware that Rand would never turn to the evil side under the current situation. He will want to be on the other side because all of his pals are there. He wanted to visit his buddies first, so he decided to wait. However, Lanfear scuttles his intentions by bringing Rand to Falme. Egwene had already escaped when Rand arrived at Falme, despite the fact that his main motivation for being there was to save her. Her soldom is the target of the identical trick that was employed to kidnap her. The only thing left for Rand to do is to rescue her from the city's ensuing mayhem, but Ishamael prevents them. Despite their great strength, Egwene and Rand are both too inexperienced to defeat Ishamael, who quickly subdues them. Ishamael defends Rand with the assistance of the Damain and decides to be kind to him if he refuses to support them in the upcoming conflict. Rand's situation worsens when Mat arrives and attacks Ishamael with a knife, but it turns out that Ishamael was only an illusion. Rand is already vulnerable because to the shield, so when Mat throws the dagger, it manages to get through the illusion and strike Rand. Ishamael decides to complete the task, but Egwene intervenes. She erects a shield with all of her might, stopping all of Ishamael's blows. Rand is released from the shield when Moiraine topples the Damain's ship after realizing what they are doing. At this point, Nynaeve and Elaine had reached the tower, and they treated Rand's knife wound while Perrin assisted Egwene in maintaining the shield. Rand uses his sword to stab Ishamael straight through the chest once he is free of the shield and restored to full strength. When the job is over, the sword malfunctions, and Ishamael disintegrates into dust before succumbing to the Dragon Reborn. What does Rand's proclamation as dragon mean? After Ishamael has passed away, Moiraine understands that the moment has come for Rand to be hailed as the Dragon Reborn. As the globe watches Rand and celebrates the end of the battle, a fire dragon materializes and flies around the tower. Falme was kept alive. What does this assertion, however, signify for Rand? Rand made an effort to blend into the background after learning that he was the Dragon Reborn. He understood that, as a man, he was destined to go insane at some point and ruin everything in his path, even his buddies. He begged Moiraine to inform everyone that he was deceased while he lived a life of anonymity since he didn't want to upset them or anyone else. But now that he has been made public, everyone will be aware of his identity. A life of anonymity is not an option. Rand will now need to accept responsibility for his actions and deal with the repercussions of being the Dragon Reborn. He is not the only person who must pay the price, though. The dragon's prophecy has been vague at best, and its most logical interpretation predicts that the dragon would eventually destroy the world as he did the previous time. It's great that he's the only one who can take down the Dark One. But in doing so, he will also set off a series of circumstances that will wipe out everything that has been built up since he last shattered the planet. This implies that in saving the world, he will also be its destruction, which is why many people oppose the return of the Dragon Reborn. The last time the dragon attempted to save the planet, a number of things went wrong, one of which was severing men's link to the light. They were cut off from the source and lost the ability to channel. Those who did went insane. Who can predict what will occur when the dragon reappears? While Rand will undoubtedly win over some admirers, he will also have to contend with the critics, many of whom may attempt to harm him. He will also need to come to terms with the notion that his position is inevitable and that all of his pals are also affected by it. Who is the woman at the end? Who released the Forsaken? It's safe to unwind now that Ishamael has left. So Lanfear believes. The Forsaken were led by Ishamael, and he had a plan to awaken each one individually depending on what was needed at the time. Lanfear was reared first in the hopes that she would persuade Rand to support them. But he needs to think of a fallback strategy when he fears she might betray him. She is not someone he can trust, but he can. So, before engaging the dragon in battle, he frees the last Forsaken. Although he didn't believe he would perish, he was aware that Lanfear was too strong and that he would need help to oppose her. Raising the remaining Forsaken, on the other hand, appears to be a much wiser course of action now that he is dead. Lanfear is relieved that Ishamael is no longer present and that Rand has proclaimed himself the dragon. She can't celebrate either, for one of the Forsaken is standing at her door. Megideon, one of the more powerful Forsaken, is the woman we see in the final moment with Lanfear. She is aware that Lanfear's love for the dragon led to her betrayal of Ishamael, but she argues that the other Forsaken did not possess the same close relationship with the dragon as Ishamael and Lanfear did. Megideon believes that the reason they are unable to turn him and his pals is because they are too near to the dragon. She and the others, on the other hand, don't have that issue, and they'll go to any lengths to complete the task. Rand and his comrades face a brand new obstacle as a result of the arrival of the remaining Forsaken. They only needed one Ishamael to cause them problems. Just think about the force and motivation of 11 Forsaken. Fortunately for Rand, Lanfear is still on his side and will stop at nothing to keep him safe. How long will that persist though? Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.